You're too sensitive. You overthink everything. You feel things too deeply. You're too intense. You care too much. How many times have you heard this? How many times have you tried to fix these parts of yourself, to tone them down, to be less, to fit in? Here's what nobody tells you. The thing you've been trying to fix? It's not a flaw, it's your superpower. That sensitivity you wish you could turn off. That's intuition. That's empathy. That's the ability to read rooms and understand people on a level most never will. That overthinking you try to stop, that's strategic thinking. That's problem solving. That's a mind that sees possibilities and connections others miss. That intensity everyone says is too much, that's passion. That's depth. That's the fuel for creativity, leadership, and change. What if you've been at war with your greatest gifts? I'm Shul, researcher and educator, and this is Big Feelings Lab, where we take the latest science on emotions and turn it into tools you can actually use. Today, I'm showing you how to stop fighting yourself and start leveraging what makes you different, because the world doesn't need another, watered-down version of you. It needs you at full volume. Let's get into it. I spent the first 30 years of my life trying to be less emotional, less intense, less me. I remember being 16, sitting across from my high school counselor. I'd been crying about a fight with a friend, something that felt devastating at the time. She said, with what I'm sure she thought was kindness, "You know, not everything has to be such a big deal. You need to develop a thicker skin." I tried. God, I tried. I practiced not caring. I told myself stories weren't that important. I pushed down reactions. I performed chill. I became the person who said I'm fine when I absolutely wasn't. And you want to know what happened? I became depressed. Because when you numb yourself to pain, you also numb yourself to joy. When you dull your sensitivity, you dull your aliveness. When you turn down your intensity, you turn down your passion. I was so busy trying to be normal that I lost what made me, me. Fast forward to my late 20s. I'm in a meeting at work. We're discussing a project, and I can feel something's off. The energy in the room, the way certain people are avoiding eye contact, the subtle tension nobody's naming. I almost said nothing, because I'd learned, don't be too sensitive, don't read into things, don't make things a big deal. But something made me speak up. Can we pause for a second? I'm sensing some unspoken concerns about this direction. Can we address those before we move forward? The room went quiet. Then, one by one, people started sharing the doubts they'd been holding back. We avoided what would have been a massive mistake. My boss pulled me aside after, "That's your gift. Most people can't read rooms like that. Don't lose that." That's when it clicked. My sensitivity wasn't a weakness. It was radar. It was data. It was a skill. Everything I'd been taught to hide was actually what made me valuable. And I started wondering, what else had I been taught to see as a flaw that was actually a strength? Let's talk about what's actually happening here, because this isn't just feel-good inspiration. This is neuroscience and psychology. Dr. Elaine Aron's research on highly sensitive people, which represents about 15 to 20% of the population, shows that what we call too sensitive is actually a distinct neurological trait. Highly sensitive individuals have more active mirror neurons, which means deeper empathy, greater depth of processing, which looks like overthinking, heightened awareness of subtleties, which feels like being easily overwhelmed, stronger emotional responses, which seems like overreacting. This isn't a disorder, it's a different operating system, and it comes with significant advantages. Research published in the journal Brain and Behavior found that highly sensitive individuals show greater creativity and innovation, stronger intuitive decision-making, deeper relationship connections, more conscientious behavior, enhanced pattern recognition. What society calls too much is actually more capable in specific, valuable ways. Let's break down some common flaws and what they actually are. You're too sensitive. Translation: you have heightened empathy and emotional intelligence. You can read nonverbal cues, sense unspoken dynamics, and understand people's needs before they articulate them. Neuroscience shows this isn't weakness. It's more active mirror neurons and greater limbic system responsiveness. You're literally wired to feel more and understand deeper. You overthink everything. Translation: you have strong analytical abilities and pattern recognition. Your brain makes connections others miss. You anticipate problems and plan solutions. What looks like anxiety is often strategic thinking. What feels like worry is often preparation. The same brain that overthinks is the brain that innovates, creates, and solves complex problems. You're too intense. Translation: you experience passion, focus, and engagement at high levels. You don't do things halfway. You care deeply. You commit fully. This intensity is what drives excellence. Research on high achievers consistently shows that intensity, not talent, is the primary predictor of exceptional performance. You care too much. Translation: you're deeply value-driven and purpose-oriented. You're not satisfied with surface-level existence. You want meaning, impact, and authenticity. Studies show that people who care too much are more likely to create social change, build meaningful relationships, and experience deep life satisfaction, even if the journey is harder. Now, here's what happens when you spend your life trying to fix these traits. Suppression backfires. Research in emotion regulation shows that chronic suppression of your natural temperament leads to increased anxiety and depression, compromised immune function, reduced cognitive performance, decreased relationship satisfaction, loss of authentic self, loss of competitive advantage. When you hide your unique traits, you eliminate your differentiating factors. You become generic, forgettable, replaceable. Misalignment with purpose. People who suppress their natural traits consistently report feeling unfulfilled, regardless of external success, because you can't feel satisfied living as someone you're not. Dr. Kristin Neff's research on self-compassion shows something powerful. People who accept their traits, even socially challenging ones, experience greater psychological well-being, more authentic relationships, increased resilience, stronger sense of purpose, higher life satisfaction. Acceptance isn't resignation, it's the foundation for leveraging what makes you different. All right, here's how to stop fighting yourself and start leveraging what makes you different. I call this the Superpower Reframe practice. This isn't about positive thinking or pretending flaws don't exist. This is about accurate assessment of what your traits actually enable you to do. Write down the things people have told you are too much about you, the qualities you've tried to hide or fix. Be specific. I'm too emotional. I overthink decisions. I need too much alone time. I'm too idealistic. I ask too many questions. I'm too perfectionistic. Don't judge these as you write them, just list them. These are the raw materials we're working with. Step 2. Trace the origin. 3 minutes. For each trait, ask, who told me this was a problem? When did I first learn this was too much? Often you'll notice patterns. A parent who was overwhelmed by their own emotions, a teacher who valued conformity over curiosity, a partner who wanted you smaller, a culture that punishes difference. Understanding the origin helps you see this judgment came from someone else's limitations, not your actual limitations. Step 3. Identify the core quality. 5 minutes. For each too much trait, ask, what's the core quality underneath this? Let me show you. Too sensitive, core quality. High empathy, strong intuition, deep emotional intelligence. Overthinking, core quality, analytical mind, strategic thinking, thorough preparation, too intense. Core quality, passionate, focused, committed, goes deep, too emotional. Core quality, authentic, expressive, connected to feelings, too much alone time. Core quality, introspective, self-aware, needs processing time to function optimally. 2. Idealistic. Core quality, visionary, values-driven, sees possibilities, too perfectionistic. Core quality, high standards, attention to detail, commitment to excellence. See what's happening? The same trait that's being criticized is actually a strength viewed through a different lens. Step 4. Find your evidence. 10 minutes. This is crucial. Your brain needs proof that these traits have served you. For each core quality, write down 3 specific examples of when this trait helped you, protected you, or enabled something positive. Example: high empathy. I knew my friend was struggling before she said anything and reached out. She later told me that call saved her life. I sensed tension in a work meeting and addressed it, preventing a major conflict. I understand my kids' needs even when they can't articulate them. Example: analytical mind. I caught a major error in a contract that would have cost thousands. I researched thoroughly before a medical decision and avoided an unnecessary procedure. I can troubleshoot complex problems that others give up on. This step rewires your brain. You're creating new neural pathways that associate these traits with positive outcomes instead of shame. Step 5. Rewrite your story. 5 minutes. For each trait, create a new narrative. Write it in present tense, first person. Old story. I'm too sensitive. I take everything personally. I need to toughen up. New story. I'm highly attuned to emotional dynamics. I sense what others miss. This makes me an exceptional friend, insightful colleague, and deeply connected parent. My sensitivity is a strength I'm learning to manage, not a flaw I need to fix. Old story. I overthink everything. I can never just relax. Something's wrong with me. New story. I have a strategic, analytical mind that prepares me well for challenges. I see possibilities and potential problems others overlook. I'm learning to channel this gift productively and know when to let my mind rest. Read these new stories daily. Your brain will begin to believe them because you're giving it evidence that they're true. Step 6. Find your people. Ongoing. This is the game changer. Find environments and people who value what you bring. If you're too sensitive for one environment, you're perfectly calibrated for another. If you're too intense for one person, you're exactly right for someone else. Sensitive people thrive in helping professions, therapy, counseling, social work, creative fields, writing, art, music, healing modalities, bodywork, energy work, research that requires intuition, leadership that requires emotional intelligence. Analytical overthinkers thrive in strategy roles, research and development, risk assessment, quality control, complex problem-solving fields. Intense people thrive in entrepreneurship, advocacy and activism, performance arts, innovation roles, any field requiring deep commitment. The right environment doesn't just tolerate your traits, it rewards them. Step 7. Set boundaries around your traits. Ongoing. Once you understand your traits are strengths, you can set boundaries to protect them. If you're highly sensitive, I need time to process before responding to big decisions. I work best in calm environments without constant interruption. I need to limit exposure to violent media. It affects me deeply. If you're analytical, I need all the information before making decisions. I need time to think through implications. I ask lots of questions. That's how I process. If you're intense, I go deep with people quickly. That's how I connect. I'm passionate about things I care about. I need people who can match my energy. Boundaries aren't apologies. They're operating instructions. Here's how I work best. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Example 1. Maria's too much emotions. Maria spent her 20s trying to be less emotional. She worked in corporate finance, a field that valued rational thinking and keeping emotions out of it. She'd cry in the bathroom, apologize constantly for being emotional, feel like an imposter. Then she left finance and became a therapist. Suddenly, her emotional depth wasn't a liability, it was her primary skill. Her ability to feel with clients, to sense what they couldn't articulate, to hold space for big emotions. This made her exceptional. Same trait, different context, different outcome. She told me, I spent a decade trying to fix what was never broken. I just needed to find where I belonged. Example 2. David's overthinking. David's partners always complained, You overthink everything. Can't you just go with the flow? He felt defective, anxious, like something was wrong with his brain. Then he became a software engineer specializing in cybersecurity. His job? Think through every possible vulnerability, anticipate every potential breach, imagine every scenario. His overthinking became threat modeling, his catastrophizing became risk assessment, his can't relax became catching security flaws others miss. He makes six figures doing what relationships criticized him for. Example 3. Aisha's too intense. Aisha exhausted people. She wanted deep conversations immediately. She didn't do small talk, she asked big questions on first dates. Friends would say, Not everything has to be so deep. Can't we just have fun? She thought something was wrong with her, that she was too much. Then she found her people, other intense humans who wanted to skip the surface and go straight to meaning, partners who matched her depth, friends who craved real conversation. She didn't change. She found her tribe. She told me, I used to think I needed to be less. I just needed to be me in the right places with the right people. Example 4. My own too sensitive. I mentioned my sensitivity earlier. Here's what I didn't say. I built an entire career on it. That ability to sense emotional dynamics, that's what makes me good at research. I can sense what questions need asking, what patterns matter, what people aren't saying. That depth of feeling, that's what makes my content resonate. Because I'm not writing from my head, I'm writing from lived experience of big emotions. That overthinking, that's thorough research, deep analysis, content that's actually backed by science. Every trait I was told to fix became a professional asset. I just needed to stop fighting myself and start leveraging what I actually had. Here's where people get stuck with this reframe. Mistake number 1, thinking. This means your traits don't need management. Your sensitivity is a gift. It still needs boundaries. Your intensity is powerful. You still need to read the room. Your analytical mind is valuable. You still need to know when to stop analyzing. Reframing as a strength doesn't mean there's nothing to work on. It means you're working with your nature, not against it. Mistake number 2, using this as an excuse for harmful behavior. I'm just intense doesn't excuse being aggressive. I'm sensitive doesn't mean everyone must tiptoe around you. I overthink doesn't give you permission to control everything. This reframe is about honoring your traits while taking responsibility for your impact. Mistake number 3, expecting everyone to appreciate your traits. Some people won't get you. Some environments won't value you. That's information, not judgment. Your job isn't to convince everyone you're valuable. It's to find where you naturally fit. Mistake number 4, staying in places that require you to be small. If you have to constantly dim yourself to belong somewhere, you don't belong there. This reframe should lead to changes. Different jobs, different relationships, different environments where you can be fully expressed. Mistake number 5, thinking. This is about being perfect. You're not perfect. Your traits come with challenges. The sensitivity that helps you connect also means you get hurt more easily. The intensity that fuels passion also exhausts you sometimes. This reframe isn't about denial, it's about seeing the full picture, costs and benefits, and deciding your traits are worth keeping. Here's your challenge for the next 14 days. The Superpower Reframe Challenge. Week 1, Identification and Evidence. Days 1 to 3. Complete steps 1 to 3 of the practice. Identify your too much traits, trace their origin, identify the core qualities. Days 4 to 7. Complete steps 4 to 5. Find your evidence and rewrite your stories. Write them down. Make them real. Week 2. Integration and Action Days 8 to 10. Read your new stories every morning. Let your brain absorb them. Notice when the old shame narrative shows up and actively replace it. Days 11 to 14. Take one action based on your reframe. Apply for a job that values your traits. Have a conversation about your needs. Set a boundary that protects your nature. Leave an environment that requires you to be small. Here's what I want you to track. What too much traits did you identify? What core strengths did you find underneath? What evidence surprised you? How did your story change? What action did you take? What shifted in how you see yourself? Come back to this video and share your reframe in the comments. Tell me what you used to think was a flaw and what you now see as a strength. Because here's the truth. The world has enough people trying to be normal. We don't need more watered down, playing small, hiding who they are humans. We need you, at full volume, with all your intensity, sensitivity, depth, and passion. The parts of you that you've been trying to fix, those are the parts the world actually needs. Stop fighting yourself. Start leveraging what makes you different. That's where your power lives. Listen to me. You were never too much. You were just in the wrong rooms with the wrong people, getting the wrong feedback. That sensitivity, that's your superpower. That intensity, that's your fuel. That depth, that's your gift. That overthinking, that's your brilliance. The world told you to be less because it didn't know what to do with more. Because people who've made themselves small feel threatened by people who refuse to shrink. But you don't belong in small spaces. You never did. You belong in rooms that celebrate depth, not fear it. With people who match your intensity, not dim it. In work that requires your sensitivity, not punishes it. Your job isn't to fit into spaces that were never built for you. Your job is to find or create spaces where you can finally be fully expressed. And when you do, when you stop fighting yourself and start leveraging what you actually are, that's when everything changes. You're not too much. You've never been too much. You're exactly the right amount in exactly the right places. Now go find them. And if this episode helped you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Your share might be exactly what saves someone's relationship, their job, or their day. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next episode. I'm Shul. This is Big Feelings Lab, and I'll see you in the next one.